you ever wondered where a small batch bourbon comes from? That has led me here, Pinhook, for their 8-year blend.
Well, that's a championship bourbon right there.
As I tend to do, just say yes to things. And that has led me here somehow or another to hang out with the folks at Pinhook for their 8-year blend. Have you ever wondered where a small batch bourbon comes from? I'm about to show you. Now, we have just finished doing a bunch of barrel picks with Spillway Wine and Spirits. So you saw the process of how they will buy a single barrel bourbon. But a small batch are going to take a lot of those barrels, blend them together into a much bigger batch. And as far as I know, there's no technical definition of small batch. There's actual small batch, and there's really big distilleries that just use that as a marketing term. Tell me a little bit about Pinhook.
Three buddies out drinking wine one night decided wouldn't it be fun to start a bourbon company. Together, bought 20 barrels with MGP. Cost $465 a barrel back in the day. One of my main businesses is Pinhook horses. I buy young horses with the intent to sell them. Hopefully they improve with age, get better, and they have pedigree updates, and that's called pinhooking. And so these guys came to the conclusion that they were doing the same thing with barrels. They were buying young barrels, letting them age, watching them grow up, building something happen from there. The first release was one of our really good first horses in the Bourbon Courage.
So when you do a blend like this, when 120 barrels, how often do you release a different batch?
Once a year for the vertical season.
And it's following the same horse.
I see the bottles here, 4 and 5.
Okay.
And we changed the geometrical shape.
There was no
The
eye.
horse stays the same on the vertical.
The whole idea behind it, because my background is in wine, is that we release vintages every year. So everything we do is limited in a sense, not because we're making such a small amount of it, but because we're never replicating anything. This is all the same product. It's our Kentucky Straight Rye. Each one is a different vintage, so you'd expect some variation. We don't keep the proofs the same. We keep a proof range, but a blend will drink better at a certain proof, so we don't want to be stuck on 98 proof.
So tell me a little bit about what we're doing here. There's an awful lot of bottles on the table, but you were marrying small bottles into larger ones.
Yeah, exactly. So we started with 150 individual single barrel samples. So anyone who's ever done a barrel pick, used to having a little bottle. Each bottle represents one barrel. We had 150 of those. We're doing a 120 barrel blend. Obviously 150 barrels, if you're working just off individual samples, would be super unwieldy. So we took equal parts of 10 single barrels and consolidated them into a new bottle, which we call a block. It's a building block, a blending block, and a block of flavor. Simply go through, taste all 15 blocks, figure out which 12 taste best together. When you have 15 to work with, you've got 12 that you're doing, gives you hundreds and hundreds of possible combinations. So I'd say in my experience, 6 to 8 should be about all it would take. By the time we start blending, we have a really good sense of the whiskey. That's all there is to it. But it really is the antithesis of what larger companies do, where they're really essentially dumping barrels in the tank and blending in that way in order to achieve a flavor profile. Whereas here, what we're sitting down to say is we have no intent in terms of creating a specific style or flavor. We simply want to make the most delicious whiskey we can. When you have a great whiskey in your glass, you know what that is. You don't need anyone to tell you. And so we'll just keep blending until we all have that moment where we're like, this is a badass whiskey. This is this amazing, kind of raisin fruit.
Almost like cognac.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of cognac.
This whole spitting it out, pouring it out is new for me. So
To me, it's less about getting a buzz, but more, your palate's not going to be as sharp for sure. This has a slight bit of muskiness on it. It's leaning towards a little, almost like wet hay, something I don't love.
that dominates for me. That dry oakiness kind of dominates that palate.
It's got some kind of soft tobacco and also wood sugar hanging out underneath that. That's a monster. That's really coating. It's just kind of it's
I wrote, nah.
yeah.
We did one with a lady who ate a chocolate donut between each taste. And she was good.
I've got a friend who is super deep into it, really obsessed with everything. Drinks Old Forester 1910 before every tasting he does, and that's how he gets his palate back.
Right, so now we've tried all of the different blends and have eliminated a few of them. At this point, you start blending?
Yep.
And normally when y'all are blending these, are you going equal parts all the time, or do you start shifting parts? So you got to do equal parts. Okay.
Well, you also can't dump part of a barrel, so it's all 1 to 1 to 1. The next step in the process, we're doing our composite blend here, right? We're blending from samples. We are going to create a bigger blend.
So you think you've got the blend you want, and now you make a bigger one to play with proof.
Now we'll play with proof. Well, it's got a huge nose. Well, that's a championship bourbon right there. You can't be exact without weighing it. So this is essentially what we're doing is we're going 14, 13, 12.
Without weighing it, meaning you get the volume and then you get the weight and it'll tell you the proof.
We're just saying that like I'm not weighing the water, so it's pretty spot on. Yeah. That's pretty incredible.
That was 114. So this 113.
That one like started to broaden back out again.
Amazing how much difference that one proof point makes.
How are we looking, people?
Looks like we're gonna be 114.6.
So what are the next steps? You figured out what you want, you figured out the proof. Where does it go from here?
All we have to do now, based on the barrels we know are in the final blend and serial numbers for all of them, and then obviously the final proofs we picked of 114.63, we will supply that information to the distillery when it's scheduled for dump. They will dump those barrels, they'll proof it to our desired proof, and that's it. And we'll be ready to go. This will hit the shelves probably mid-September.
Are you new too?
My name is Caroline. I write for Bourbon Review. I'm the whiskey historian for Justin's House of Bourbon in Brewzle and Lexington. Do all their tasting notes, private tastings, things like that. I've hung out with them before for a couple of these, but not like this. I've hung out for proofing and you know, Sean get it.
Yes.
Breakfast of champions over there.
I've known Sean and the Pinhook guys for a few years now. Yeah, this is my first time doing anything like this, so that makes sense great.
Our whole thing is about transparency. Pinhooking means you buy a baby thoroughbred based on its lineage to sell it for a profit when it's mature. We love that name. We came up with it. We founded the company in 2010 because back then there was a lot of subterfuge, people pretending they had distilleries when they didn't. We were really interested in this idea of why can't you be 100% clear about where it's from? We wanted to take the approach. We're telling you that we buy young barrels, we age them, we blend them.
I provided absolutely no value whatsoever. I was just here to document, but it was fun.
All we were doing was moving out. It's 120 barrels total, and all we were doing was like moving out 10 and bringing in a different 10.
From the same place
From
with
the same place.
Same
Same-
Nashville.
I didn't think about the proofing piece. We thought we'd already nailed it with the blend of cask strength, and then dropping it by what turned out to be like 3/4 of a proof point. It changed the nose dramatically. But then again, anyone who's ever added a drop of water to whiskey could probably relate to that. And I thought it was interesting, like, of the 3 different proofs, when we dropped it 1 proof point, that was the bottling proof, and it came out phenomenal. The next one weirdly brought out a bunch of wood tannin that didn't exist in the cask strength or the 1 proof point down. And then 3 proof points down, it wasn't as good as either cask strength or 1 proof point down. Kind of came back around to be more balanced.
Come to Kentucky to get the Auburn Equestrian glass here too.
Makes the double eagle rare.
Here's the double eagle very rare.
Based on the single barrels, because we're relatively close to cask strength, I think we might get 36 packs. I think we'll be in the 180 bottle range. If we're saying 180 times 120, 21,600 bottles, bottled in 6 packs, 3,600 6 packs. It's not teeny, right? I think that's part of the point too, though, is we know people are collecting it. So the idea is like, that's not mass production, but it's enough. It's not like, oh, we only made 3,600 bottles. It's like, no, we're making 3,600 6 packs. Enough to go around. So for people who are interested in it, like, they should be able to find it.
We didn't properly introduce ourselves.
Oh, well, that's not important.
Yeah.
Nobody claims him, but
He just bounces around.
My name's Guinness McFadden with Blackwood Distilling.
So this is the next artist series
beautiful.
that's coming out.
Cool. With the double label.
The idea of this one, called Double Blended, we blended the barrels together in tank when they were 4 years old, and then we redistributed them back into the barrels. It's really the idea of more like oxidative aging as opposed to wood aging. So if you go back into the used barrels, you're not going to pull as much wood. You know, all these barrels had a year to mingle as a blend, and then were re-blended back together.
And that is how you make a small batch bourbon. Should be out here pretty soon. It took us a little while to get this video edited and get it out to y'all, so that bottle should be available any day now at this point. Appreciate y'all watching all the way to the end. This is a little bit of a different video. It's not really me doing a whole bunch of stuff. I was just trying to stay out of the freaking way and document the process. So I appreciate y'all joining me for that journey. And again, just one of those random things where you just say yes. Like I got invited to something at Old Carter. I said yes to that, which led me meeting these Pinhook fellas and saying yes to this. Delayed my trip a little bit. Now I've got a 7-hour drive home. So luckily I've got Maggie here to keep me company on the drive. We got that new sound system installed. So I'm gonna download some murder mystery podcasts hit the road. We'll see y'all in the next one.